When a child feels that I am with you, I understand you, and everything is okay, everything is allowed, I am your team, that's when the chances of a child opening up goes high. So always think in your mind that I need to work with the child, not for the child, with the child. So that perspective shift in your own head will make you look at this problem differently.
Welcome to SELINTalks, where we delve into the narratives shaping our world in education and parenting. Today, we're thrilled to hold Dr. Janice, a beacon in the realm of respectful parenting and mental health advocacy. With her dual hats as a Montessori mom and a seasoned counseling psychologist, Dr. Janice is here to share her insights on making parenting a journey of joy and discovery. Join us for a compelling session that promises to enlighten and inspire. Let's get started. So, welcome to our show, Dr. Janice. It's a pleasure to have you with us here today. Your journey is fascinating, spanning from being a parent coach, a counseling psychologist, to an advocate of maternal mental health, and a Montessori mom of twins. Before we dive into the main discussion, could you please share with us a bit what led you to these roles and your missions in making parenting stress-free and joyful?
So, with all these roles, another role that I was always identified with was that of being a dentist. So, I
Okay.
be a dentist, and after becoming a mother, all these roles have come into play. So all this, so my journey started, if this is what I'm talking about, being a parenting coach, it started after the birth of my twins 7 years back. So I was a regular person, with career of dentistry, then suddenly you have babies. And I always thought parenting is something which would come naturally to me because I love babies, babies love me. But that's what I was in a shock when parenthood hit me and I was fumbling. I was failing. Okay. So that's where I went into learning about parenting. Learning about parenting and neuroscience is one subject which I have always liked. So I started learning, I started applying them in my children. And I'm from a nuclear family. Me and my husband, we are raising twins in a nuclear family. No much support. So whatever knowledge we are getting from the book and from trial and error, putting it on the babies. And then when they were about 20 months, that's when I went back to dentistry. Once I was back to dentistry and my children were going to play group, uh, they were being noticed by other parents, by the teachers. And they would come to me. The other parents started coming to me. Why are your child different? And what do you do for this particular thing? What do you do for tantrum, for picky eating? So I would keep giving tips. Organically, I didn't realize I was having sessions with them. That's when COVID hit, and I felt that instead of only doing this pro bono sessions here and there, let me actually take this up seriously because there's a need.
Of
And then
course.
I went on to become a counseling psychologist. I got a degree. I studied when my children were 4. I became a psychologist, and now I am doing this full time. So it's the passion that got me here. I don't see this as a profession, it is my passion.
That is incredibly inspiring. Your passion for creating positive change in families that shines through. Let's delve into some topics that we want to discuss in this podcast. As a
Mhm.
Montessori mom, you're also a Montessori mom, and this is the first time I'm hearing this term, by the way, Montessori mom. Could you share one Montessori principle you have incorporated in your home, and how has it influenced your parenting style?
So that was a selfish reason why I became a Montessori mom because with 2 babies, I wanted them to become independent very soon. There was too
Yeah.
much on my plate. So the principle of making them independent is something that attracted me towards Montessori principle. They went to Montessori school. I read about it. My home also, I started making changes, making them independent. And I was being called out, you're making them do work, child labor, and kids are only supposed to play and all that thing. But I believed, as I said, I love to read. Neuroscience is something I always applied them. I did it back then with some knowledge, but now I can tell you the confidence that the children have, the freedom to do things, the creativity that comes with all of this. That is something which you have to experience in your child. Independence is something which you can foster. And for that, at home, we give space for children to make mistakes. It was okay
Yeah.
to make mistakes. It was okay to experiment. Freedom within boundaries. That is what we gave our children. Self care, practical life skills. That is what we worked on. More than toys, we worked on all
Mm-hmm.
these things in instilling independence. And this helps in life skills, which we talk about. If you go on LinkedIn and people at the age of 30, 40 are learning about life skills, you can start it that young. So, this principle of independence is something which I think from Montessori, which I vouch for, and
Mm.
made me become a Montessori mom.
That's incredible, actually. I also, so my brother and my sister-in-law are blessed with the twins, and
Wow.
they are only 1 year of age. But we were also thinking that, in the terms of everything that needs to be learned should be learned from the early age, be it life skills, be it how you communicate, what are the boundaries, the act of saying no if you don't like it,
Yes.
so important. And they are girls, and it is an additional, um, I would say, fear, because it is what it
Yes, it
is.
is.
The
Yeah,
it's a fear, and then
it's valid.
we are prepared that we have to do one, two, three, four, five, say three things. But yeah, it is so good that you have researched, you have studied for them. I mean, this is one of the biggest gift that you can give to your kids and the
I
society, I
think.
think.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
That's the greatest gift I think parents can do.
Yeah.
Learning parenting. Don't take it for granted. Learning about parenting and applying it for your children.
Yeah. Because I think every generation had their own challenges. You can't raise the kids like how we were raised back then anymore. There are
Exactly.
so many things. Kids will learn any which ways. There are so many mediums to learn education,
Right,
formal education, and
right.
everything. But this is really good. I was very interested to get onto this conversation in terms of a, different face of the coin. When obviously the parenting is there, we also have to look at the schooling part of it, the formal education part of it. To
Yes.
begin with, for parents who are beginning their journey towards respectful parenting, what is the first step that you recommend?
So, firstly, I would congratulate them that they're thinking of getting into respectful parenting because people have this notion that they are babies. Why would they need respect? So, firstly, congratulations for that. And then also be aware that your children's behavior is going to trigger you. There are a lot of
Yeah.
stuff that is going to come, and these triggers are somewhere starting from your childhood.
Yeah.
So there will be some reparenting that will have to be done in your journey. And for that, you need to get, before you react, you need to take a pause. Only then you can respond. So I would advise parents to learn pause. The
Hmm.
difference between reacting and responding is pause. So when you get triggered, it's a natural instinct to be disrespectful towards our child, start shouting, yelling, or doing something
Yeah.
which is not respectful. So what is that which makes us different? That pause. That will
Hmm.
take us, allow us to take a step back. Then we are able to respond respectfully. So become aware that your childhood incidents, trauma, maybe experiences
Hmm.
will show up while you're parenting. Reparent
Right.
and learn the art of pause. That would be the first step. Then you can keep learning and implementing.
I think this is a life advice for everyone, that everybody should actually take a pause and then respond rather than react. I think 90% of the time we are always in a reactive stage.
Yeah.
This is a life advice.
And in fact, for responding, I cannot tell myself, oh, my child has thrown water on the floor and now I'm triggered and now I have to calm myself down. We are humans. That's not going to work. So, what you do, you practice calm, meditation,
Hmm.
deep breathing exercise. Even 2 minutes or 5 minutes daily, that practice that you put in, that will
Hmm.
help you in moments of your child's tantrum.
Very true. Very, very true. So we kids usually spend like most of their times in schools, in institution. How important do you think is the role of the educators in supporting the emotional intelligence of the children, and what can schools actually do to better equip teachers for this role? Because they are also spending good amount of time there. They are also interacting with educators,
Right.
the management of the school. Everybody is involved. It's not, obviously it is parenting, but also this part of it that is also responsible.
So school is definitely the second home. So
Yeah.
after home, how much parents can do. The next is the schools. Again, in schools, children spend maximum time with the teachers. So
Yeah.
teachers need to be teachers are also like us. We were raised differently, so they also are not really aware of the new parenting system and style and mental health things that we are talking about today. So first, create having sessions for teachers, equipping them with the right information of how to handle children, how to, when a child is, for example, not learning well.
Hmm.
Okay, so observe that in a child. Then uh, talk about it to your principal, get the parent on board. All that has to be done. But I think for education institutes, how they can start is by having that parent teacher ratio needs to be healthy. You cannot have
Hmm.
80 children in a class and one teacher is expected to uh, take care of 80 children, teach them
Yeah.
as well as find out how individually every child is doing. So that ratio, if institutions can work on equipping the teachers, and of
Hmm.
course have a dedicated school counselor in the school. These are
Yeah.
something which every school should have.
Yeah. Apparently, we do have counselors in the schools, but I think there also the ratio is a lot. I think one or two counselors in the entire school cannot do justice to so many kids. I mean, at the
Yes.
end of the day, that person is also human, right? So I
Hmm.
think more, that ratio also has to be maintained somewhere or the other.
Right. And counseling shouldn't be only for the children. It should be for the
Hmm.
parents
Yeah.
also.
Yeah. That is something that needs to, yeah, I think need of the hour as well. Everybody
Yes.
is struggling. Actually, extending this conversation from your perspective, what makes an effective parent educator partnership in fostering a child's education journey throughout?
So I always believe for a child's educational journey, learning journey, parent and educators both have to come together. It is
Hmm.
not a teacher's responsibility because sometimes what happens, parents are for providing food, bags, stationery, and everything, and teachers are for education. But ideally, I would say these two come together and work as a team. Now, how can we work as a team? Not by only we meeting once in 3 months during PTM, but that communication has to be a little more regular
Hmm.
with the parents. Anything you see off in a child right now, communicate it with the parent. There is something going on. Is something happening at home? Because lot of time the home environment may be stressful, parent-child
Yeah.
relationship or spousal relationship. Something shifting is happening. A new
Hmm.
sibling has arrived. All that
Hmm.
can reflect in a child's behavior and hence can reflect in the child's learning.
Hmm.
A parent will only see the learning part or the
Yeah.
misbehavior, but the teacher doesn't know what is actually happening at home. So that way,
Hmm.
having an open communication, right? And also, if your child is picking up certain habits that you see from school, then the teacher can actually go and ask the teacher, my child has suddenly started hitting. What happened?
Hmm.
If the
Hmm. Hmm.
parent feels the homework is too much, communicate it to the educator.
Yeah.
Also, another important thing I want parents to hear out is when you don't agree with the teacher, don't tell it in front of the child. If the
Ah,
parent
this.
says, your teacher doesn't know anything, I don't
Yeah.
understand what they're saying. Child trusts you, and suddenly the child feels teacher doesn't know anything. Now, when the
Hmm.
child goes to school, how is the child looking at the teacher? As somebody who
Hmm.
doesn't know anything. So, whatever she's teaching, I'm not going to pay attention to it. So this
Hmm.
is again something very important. If you want to communicate something, communicate directly to the teacher. with the child as a center. Keep an open communication.
You mentioned mental health as well. How can education institutions be more proactive in addressing and supporting the mental health of their students? I mean, uh, after a point in time, the students are spending more time in the school.
Hmm.
After their primary education, they're spending more time in school. Institutions are doing extracurricular activities. All of that is happening. So, how do you think they can address and support mental health with some actually practical suggestions that if you could give us?
So other than the feedback that we can take from parents, what we can
Right.
actually do and in the classes, especially at the age of 6 to 12, children's gross motor skill is developing. Okay. They find it very difficult to sit in one place for a long time. They need breaks in between. So what parent they can actually do is in between, after maybe an hour or 2 hours, make the child stand up, maybe move the hand, move the leg. That
Mm.
is a stress buster. Just
Okay.
this kind of thing, moving your hand, jumping wherever you're standing, just take 2 3 jumps. That will automatically start releasing some amount of cortisol, because
Mm.
throughout the day, for you, for me, for our children, there are small stressors that keep on coming. Okay. That
Correct.
is in our body. Sometimes they're so small we don't realize that we are getting stressed out. The same thing is happening with the children. For 6 hours, oh, I did not do my finish my homework. Oh, there is so much. Teacher has shouted at me. My friend has taken away my eraser. I lost my sharpener. So these are all
Mm.
stressors for a child. Okay, and cortisol levels are increasing. High cortisol is not going to allow your child to learn much. Okay, so now what can we do so that the cortisol doesn't get built up? We can do these small activities, have regular sports, PED, physical
Mm.
education, that kind of a thing. Then teachers also can have these emotion boards in the class.
Mm.
When they come in, how are you all doing? Small amount of icebreaker. When you come in, how are you? How was your day? How was yesterday evening?
Mm.
What did you all do? So that kind of thing makes the atmosphere quite chilled out. And even before they leave, last 5 minutes, 10 minutes, so what are you all going to do today? How did you all have fun? Something on those lines. That is something which you can actually do, incorporate right away. Right away
Mm.
to do that. That is something which you can do. One. Secondly, I think now there are schools which have started this. There are in my children's school, there is once a week they have something called as life skill, where they are taught about self-awareness,
Okay.
emotional vocabulary, all those things. So that is something again which we can make it as a part of curriculum. And I tell you, once children have that positive association with school, so they have
Mm.
this. So when a teacher says something about emotional vocabulary, that getting angry is okay, but the way you behave while you're angry, that is not okay. Putting some
Mm.
stories in between about feelings and emotions, that is educating our children right from the young age about
Right.
themselves. So once you're aware about yourself,
Mm.
you're aware about your feelings, that helps in keeping mental health issues on tap. Because most of the parents or adults that I take when I coach or counsel them, I realize they themselves are not aware of what is happening inside them. They're only
Yeah.
talking about everything around their behavior. The work is to make them look inside. So if that is
Yeah.
something which we can start in school, which is possible, that is something
Mm.
which we can look into.
I think teaching about emotions are very important. Like you said, anger and how you react. I very later in life, and I think after my teenage, I was going to my college and all the things. At that time, I learned that anger is always just an example that anger is always the result of an emotion. Right? When we
Yeah.
talk about it, it's always a result of an emotion. Maybe you're upset or uh, dissatisfied with things. Maybe you are hurt, disappointed. All of these things I have learned very later, and a lot of people who are going to be listening to this can actually relate that labeling the feelings that you are
Yes.
angry, that you're frustrated was taught very later. We were never told to speak out,
I
like,
I learned it just
right?
5 years back. Just 5 years
Yeah.
back.
So it puts up immediately, like I practice this and imagine a kid practicing this from an early age, what kind of an impact that kid would make when that kid is an adult. I do it
Shruti, would you
immediately.
believe I
Yeah.
did that? Sorry for cutting you. I did that today morning. I had a session with a mother. Her child is
Hmm.
18 months old, and we have already started working on her emotional vocabulary. We
Wow.
can started that early. She started throwing tantrums. We've started verbalizing it for her.
Hmm.
We can do that. So we learn it when we come in our 20s,
Imagine.
30s. Imagine, I want to see how that child is going to grow up to be. So we can start it very early. Don't underestimate a child's childhood. We know the importance of, the early childhood education, how
Yeah,
important.
yeah.
So why are we spending our time in ABC 1, 2, 3 and colors and shapes? Why are we not teaching them about feelings, about emotions, about practical life, confidence, resilience? Why are we not teaching those things? Because if you
Hmm.
say early education is important, these things are also so very important.
Actually,
Once
we
they
don't consider that as a part of education. That is the problem.
We should, in fact, we should start putting that also. And Montessori allows it. That is the
Hmm.
best part because it gives you that freedom.
I'm totally going to talk about your entire work to my sister-in-law, because twins are not easy, right? One child is
No,
not easy. Having twins, you
no,
understand.
no. And when they're like
Yeah,
chalk and cheese, they are chalk and cheese. Yes,
exactly.
they are. So honestly, Shruti, when I started, it was only because I was learning and I was putting it in. But today, when my children are 7, what I
Hmm.
did when they were 3, 4, I can see the results today. So today,
Yes.
I can say with conviction. That time it was my just experience and neuroscience talking, but today with my experience, I can tell you both my children are very different,
Hmm.
very, very
Of
different.
course.
But there are certain things about them, like the independence, the curiosity. And I would say you shouldn't teach your child. Your child is already learning. You
Yeah.
keep that space open for learning.
Open.
Keep the
Yeah.
curiosity alive. That is
Hmm.
what we need to work on.
Very true. Very, very true. 18 months kid, and the mother is learning feeling vocabularies, emotional vocabulary. It's a great thing. I really would want to know later on in life how that kid turns out
Even
to
I
be.
want to. Even I want to. But we can do that. I
Hmm.
started, but not when they were 18 months, but a little later because I was still learning and I was still struggling
Learning. Yeah.
during my initial this. But
Even
yeah,
that is a very big step. If you think about it, it's a very big step.
yes. Yes,
Yeah.
my children, I think I remember when they were 3 years and 3 months, both my children were having a fight about riding the same bicycle. I mean, having twins, people will tell you, like, you take one pen and both of them would want the same thing.
Yeah.
You take two same toys, it's similarly, exactly same toys, but still they would want this,
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
this. So that is there. So they
Yeah.
had a fight. And that's one, they were 3 years and 3 months. And I was sitting there and teaching them about confrontation and
Hmm.
conflict management. We can do that. We can do
Hmm.
that because uh, I was learning and I was trying to apply. I didn't know when we should apply it. I was like, I've learned
Hmm.
it now, chalo, let me try. So that way
Hmm.
they were giving space to each other. She's talking about herself, he's talking about herself. Instead of telling, nobody gets the toy, just
Hmm.
tell sorry to each other. It is
Hmm.
like
Usually
accepting
that
each
happens.
other.
Yeah.
Usually we do that. Put everything under the rug. Put all your feelings inside. One day it's going to come up. And the best time it comes up is when you have a baby and you're putting it, all your baggages, you're putting it on your child. Normally that is the time it comes up.
Oh, yes.
So at that time you teach your child all these things. You're angry she took your toy away. You want to give it
Hmm.
back to her. So all these things, although it looks small, it is
Hmm.
very, we are teaching our children life skills and most importantly, mental health being intact.
For a kid, so for example, that the kid has now been at around 11 or 12.
Hmm.
What are some early signs that we should look for that indicates that their child needs some support with their mental
Hmm.
health?
Okay, so every child is different in their personality and they have a fixed personality, okay? Introvert, extrovert, mixing up, not mixing up, and all.
Hmm.
Now, when you see too much of a difference, either the
Hmm.
child becomes too aggressive, too jumpy, too much of talking, or the other extreme, too much withdrawn,
Hmm.
not interested in anything, sleeping too much, eating too
Hmm.
much.
Hmm.
When you see the extremes in any behavior, this is something that needs to be taken care of and reported. And what you see
Okay.
outside is just the behavior. We need to start going inside. And whenever we are dealing with these kind of children, first of all, we need to observe these things and don't immediately jump into this thing that you're not supposed to eat this, that, and all. We can't address the behavior. We need to try to understand what is exactly happening. When a child feels that I am with you, I understand you, and everything is okay, everything is allowed, I am your team, that's when the chances of a child opening up goes higher. So always think in your mind that I need to work with the child, not for the child, with the child. So that perspective shift in your own head will make you look at this problem differently. And
Hmm.
then you will be able to get the solution also very easily.
Right. I really love the phrase that you mentioned, that you're working with the child as a team rather than for the kid. And that is incredible. It gives you like a mindset shift, because
Hmm.
I think emotions are the first thing that children actually learn. And then we put it
Yes.
under the rug, then we tell them, no, ye nahi karo, don't do this, don't do that, do this, do that, and all of that. And in the meantime, we are also kind of suppressing ourselves. It's a
Right.
very great advice, actually, that you're working with them, not for them. And
Right.
that actually takes ourselves also out of the pedestal, even for the teachers. When we look at it, for the
Hmm.
educators, for the entire education system, when we look at it, as soon as we believe that we're working with the kids, I think it'll make all the differences in the world.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
you're absolutely right. Our change in our mindset, that shift automatically, see again, it all comes from inside. The change in my
Correct.
mindset automatically bring a change in the way I'm dealing with that child. So
Hmm.
if in my head, like as a parent, if you ask me, if I think that I am the owner of my child, I am the mother, I have got him and her into the world, and I am going to do this, I'm your provider and savior, I will look at my child differently. But
Hmm.
if in my head I feel that they have come through me, they're small individuals whom I have been had the opportunity to get them into this world, and they are right now with me, but they are like those mini adults who are going to grow up into adults. Till then, I have to take care of them. Automatically there's a shift. I respect them.
Hmm.
I'm not an
Correct.
owner. Suddenly we are equals. We are not same, but we are equals. So the respect
Correct.
automatic. The change has to be in our mindset. The
Hmm.
teachers, educators, the parents.
And it needs to be all the way around. I think
Yeah.
parents are, these days, parents are very woke, as we say. They are doing things, yeah, but even when they're making mistakes, they are somehow seeking help. At least that openness has come out to be. With the
Yes.
teachers as well, I think that's one of the biggest thing that I would take away from our conversation today, is that you're working with the child. Even for the
Yes.
teachers, the management, play school, colleges, universities, PhDs, you're working, whosoever is going to be your student, with them.
Yes. Like it is their journey. Think of it this way. This is the child's journey, and I am here as an educator. I am here as a parent. And that because every child's journey is also going to be different, right?
Yeah, of course, yes.
Yeah. It can't
Yes.
be same across the board. So see the uniqueness of every child.
So now that we are nearing the end of our conversation, I'd like to ask one final question, reflecting on our discussions and your extensive experience. What vision do you hold for the future of parenting and education? And importantly, what steps can parents, educators, and communities take today to move closer to that ideal, dream or vision? I will call it a
Uh,
vision.
yeah. So if I have to concise, there's so much I want to tell all of them, but if I have to concise into few points, one is educators and parents come together for the child. So there needs to be open communication from both the ends. Take
Right,
feedback, apply it. That is one thing. Second thing, as parents, reparent yourself. When, don't put your self-worth onto your child. Your self-worth is not determined by your child's success because we are ruining it. Like my
Correct.
child doesn't get that prize, that means I suck at my parenting. No, that's not true. Get a shift in your mindset there. Because it's not only about your child's, when we say success, it's not the medal and trophies, it's how your child is living his or her life. It has to be holistic, academics, mental health, all that comes into play. And if we say that early childhood education is important because early childhood, those years are very important,
Hmm.
use them to build your child's personality, self
Hmm.
esteem, curiosity, independence, all those things. Academics will follow. When your child has that curiosity for learning, the child will be a lifelong learner. If you're going to dump ABC, that means just go.
Yeah. That's amazing. These advices are really, really great. And I really hope this entire message of working with kids as a team goes around multifolds. I really believe in that. Thank you so much for this incredible, incredible conversation. I'm so glad we got to do this today. It
Thank
was
you.
amazing. Wrapping up today's insightful dive with Dr. Janice, we are left with a powerful takeaway: the importance of educators and parents working alongside children, fostering a journey of mutual growth and understanding. A heartfelt thank you to Dr. Janice for her invaluable wisdom, and to you, our dedicated listeners, for engaging with us on SELINTalks. I'm your host, Shruti Verma Isaac, signing off with a reminder to embrace the collaboration in education. Stay curious, stay inspired, and let's continue to transform the landscape of learning together. Until next time.